Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Elsa's, Krown's magical decade.
Well, welcome back once again. It's a lovely little hump day over here from Helsinki, Finland today, actually, and a little bit of a colder weather as well, so I'm pretty happy about that. Got the blackout curtain, so I was able to get a good night of sleep, and it has made all of the difference. So I do want to wish you all on this nice little hump day, this beautiful Wednesday, as you get halfway through your week. But again, that means absolutely nothing. You're a cryptocurrency trader, so that means there is no sleep, there is no weekend. It's 24/7 market. It's electric. It never sleeps. It's never down. My mom just died. Bitcoin never dies. Long Bitcoin, short the bankers. There you fucking go. Anyways, of course, as always, want to wish you the best of the best, the happiest of the happiest. We got plenty to talk about with Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is starting to struggle its way along. And with that said, let's initiate the good old teleportation, and I'll see you in the live scene. And there she is, Bitcoin in all of her massive glory. And you can see that Bitcoin has regained the yellow 21 exponential moving average and also the red 10 simple, which actually have initiated a bearish cross on these two. But this is probably going to be throwing a lot of people for a loop right now, as Bitcoin's just kind of been slugging its way along for the past week or so, within this range, and nothing's really changed. Of course, these blue boxes that we've been kind of monitoring for the past week, unchanged. And realistically, where most people get this wrong is they'll try to interpret what's going on within the lower time frames within this whole grand scheme right here. But looking at this right here, you can see very openly and very honestly and very clearly that Bitcoin's not done anything major. It hasn't broken the range as of just yet. So what is the overall general bias? What are you supposed to think in times like these? Neutral. You're supposed to be neutral. And I want to be very adamant about saying that, because so many people are trying to force trades within this range, and there's really been no major directional trades to have been made. Now, of course, trading supporting resistance, which in my opinion is the bread and butter of the game, has been quite profitable for the past week or so. I mean, just buying this blue box and selling this blue box, pretty damn simple. It's not sexy. You're not gonna see too many people talking about it. But hey, it fucking works, man. And myself, I haven't been trading actually all that much myself, just because I've been focused on other things right now. But I've just been keeping it flat, and realistically, that is all I intend to do. Now, if I did have to lean away here, I would actually be leaning a little bit to the upside in the more immediate terms, as we were speaking about yesterday. Likely to bounce off the 4-hour 200 exponential moving average, this purple 200 moving average right over here, and Bitcoin, just being resilient within this range. Yes, we do seem like we're gaining a little bit of momentum to the upside. It is starting to look a little bit more like a little bit like reaccumulation here. But again, maybe perhaps the best thing to say is that it's a little bit too early to say. And more importantly, you don't need to be taking trades in here if you're not feeling comfortable, of which I hope I've been extremely direct in saying that I do not, and that's completely fine. I'm happy to sit back and wait and pounce on the next obvious trade, the next easy trade, so to speak, and in exchange for not pulling out my hair and rubbing my Pinot Noir with sandpaper right now, looking at this price action, trying to figure out what's going on. And again, it's just this simple. You can do all of the mental masturbation that you want, but until we actually break one of these blue boxes, there's no major there are no major changes to be made. In just 1 second, as I figure out where I put something over here, I think the key is somewhere in there, Elsa. I believe it's somewhere in there, but if not, it's in my backpack. Sorry about that. A little bit of a technical difficulty over there, but overall, we are going to see lower time frames switching back up to bullish as well. And so if I did have to lean away here, I would actually say to the upside. We do see 4-hour Stokes wanting to cross back up to the upside, but more importantly to me is the 12-hour and the 12-hour showing momentum being gained, and also just regaining the red 10 simple and the green 50 exponential moving average. And if we do regain the yellow 21 on this next tick, I would be bullish off that, and I do think that we break this blue box to the upside if that were to happen. But remember, we are still about 5 hours and 32 minutes away from confirming that, so a lot can happen between now and that time. So a little bit too, again, just a little bit too early, but we do see 12-hour Stokes headed upwards and onwards. We do see daily Stokes having a fresh crust cross the upside and heading upwards as well. So I really don't like to trade against those two when I see them confluent with each other. And we also see lower, kind of what I look at as the ambassador of the lower time frames or the medium time frames, the 4-hour also crossing back up. And more importantly, looking at moving averages, we do see that it's regained all these guys right over here. So I would say if I did have to lean to a direction or a side of the direction, I would be leaning to the upside, breaking this blue box to the upside. And if that does happen, the next area of interest is technically going to be, technically it's right here. It's going to be right around about 83.25, right here. Now this is obviously a little bit too, it's this guy right here. It's obviously going to be a little bit too close for like an actual change of behavior, in my opinion. I do think that Bitcoin, if it breaks to the upside of this blue box, we don't just get here, we get actually higher. But I would be looking for a short-term pullback within that region. What's more likely to happen is that we actually do have a little bit of a measure move to be made on something like this, and not too exact, but but for our purposes, it will work. It will kind of force us up into about the 8,500ish region. And again, while I do think that we'd have a short-term pullback there on the very low time frames, ultimately, if Bitcoin does get back into this region, it's free skies back up to this 8850 or like 8,700 to 8850ish region over time. So keep in mind how all of these lower time frames interrelate to the medium and the higher time frames, just because with this area getting taken out, yeah, there's going to be trades on lower time frames in between for little scalps, but overall the general feeling of this is going to be one massive period of reaccumulation, which likely over time would actually be the impetus for leading Bitcoin on into the mid 9,000s to 10,000. So again, I want to be very reserved in how I kind of present these sorts of things, because while that is the case for the bulls and what I would be looking for, and technically what I'm actually kind of, should I say this right now? Should I say that I'm leaning towards it? I don't know if I should say that, just because higher time frames are still not looking too good, like 2-day, 3-day, weekly. But if that does happen, it certainly opens up the road for the bulls. Now, by the same token, if we do break this blue box territory to the downside, that's going to imply a lot more nasty things, because something that very few people are talking about right now is the death cross on the 4-hour, which, typically speaking, I don't put too much weight on the lower time frames. Especially on simple moving average crosses. But the reason why I put weight on simple moving average crosses is mainly because they have carry on over into something that matters significantly more to me, which is an exponential moving average cross. And you can see the past history of the 4-hour death and golden cross, the blue represented by the 50 simple and the white represented by the 200 simple, has had some pretty damn good history for Bitcoin, even on the simple side. But during periods of consolidation and trend change, it will give bad signals, like you saw right over here. It's telling you to be a buyer. Technically speaking, you actually do get a decent trade in from about 3,700 to 4,000 at that time. That's more than a 10% move based off those numbers. But you do see that soon after that did give you the death cross once again. And it wasn't until we got that second golden cross where you actually got the bullish momentum, and that's to be expected during long periods of trend. So even though Bitcoin does have the death cross technically right now, I actually don't look for it to really play out right now. What I view it as is kind of like a warning signal. And if and when we do get the death cross on the 4-hour exponentials, which is actually nowhere near happening right now, then yes, I would be a little bit more ready for some prolonged downside. Low 7,000 becomes a significant and immediate target, like 71 to 7,200, just in this region right around here. And then we'll kind of reassess if and when we do get there and talk about lower targets after that if it's appropriate. But for right now, Bitcoin, firing off a warning signal saying that momentum is waning, that momentum is certainly being lost. But depending upon how Bitcoin kind of reacts on the lower time frames, and again, first and foremost, looking at the blue boxes here, that takes overall precedence. So Bitcoin's going to get a legitimate chance here, and I do think that it is certainly worth mentioning that Bitcoin has regained the 200 simple rather well, which I would put a lot of weight on as well. So that would be from the that would be from the 4-hour perspective. Let me get these guys back on. Let's get these disgusting simples out of my face once again. Disgusting, gross. Get out of there. And yeah, that would be suggesting that the momentum is waning. So does that also mean that we can't have another run up? We can have another run up, but it would be a cautionary signal, as you've seen in the past. That has been a damn good indication of the overall trend, finding a significant point and essentially wanting to, firing off a flare saying, hey, caution, while this one can have another move up, I wouldn't be getting too aggressive here. So that's my big point. And remember, it takes a long time for it to play out. More importantly, when we were looking at the past prior death crosses and golden crosses, in the interim during the consolidation periods, that was represented by about 2 to 3 months, right? 2 to 3 months, which is a significant amount of time. So we're just getting our first signal right here. But I would be saying in the next few months, that is going to that likely is going to incite a pretty nasty pullback. But again, these sorts of things have been quite tricky recently, and the worst thing that you can do in a very irrational market is be a rational player saying, it's gone up enough already, I don't think it can go up anymore. That would be irrational, it'd be weird. And well, unfortunately, fam, well, that's not typically not been my experience with how these things work. So yeah, now speaking of that, we've spoken a lot to the bulls case right here, and yes, it does deserve its due diligence, and of course, more importantly, we've said from the not from the get-go, but ever since we got into this like early June area right over here, that this purple 200 exponential moving average, as long as Bitcoin's riding that baby to the upside, there is zero reason to be looking for downside trades. We can talk about mental masturbation to the downside, like 7,000, 7,100, 7,200, and even lower than that into the mid to low 6,000s. But until this area breaks, I mean, that's just your first gatekeeper and still standing strong. So overall, these sorts of things need to be really heavily considered, so you don't get swept up by the feet by the perma bulls and the perma bears. The perma bulls who are always saying Bitcoin's never been better, Bitcoin's going to 10 billion today, and you better buy now or cry. Or the perma bears who say Bitcoin's a scam, it's a Ponzi market, or whatever the fuck they say. And if you're buying now, you're stupid, because we're going down to $1 and then even negatives after that. So fuck off. It's like, all right. Usually both are wrong. And I'd say if whoever out there is calling this a head and shoulders, they are drastically wrong. They are fucking wrong. They're fucking wrong, man. If you're looking at this as a head and shoulders, I would strongly suggest that this is, that you're just fucking wrong with that. This is not a head and shoulders. The reason for that being is that the overall structure is wrong, and more importantly, this right shoulder, or what would be the right shoulder, proverbially speaking, has dragged on for a little bit too long. And we do want to see some symmetry within these sorts of things if they are actually going to play out. And of course, more importantly, what the head and shoulders fuckers don't tell you, the head and shoulders highly esteemed analysis don't tell you, is that in overall trends, when you're talking about a very strong trend, counter trend patterns actually have a very low degree of playing out, especially the head and shoulders, which has been documented, has been measured in cryptocurrency land. And I do believe it's below 40%. It's definitely below 40%, and I think it might be even below 30% hit rate. If my memory serves me correctly, it's somewhere around 23 to 24% for counter trends. So we're talking about macro trend, which is to the upside. We're getting a bearish head and shoulders, or what would be a bearish head and shoulders. Yes, that is typically a setup for a very, very low hit rate. If it was with macro trend, aka to the downside, then yes, it would be around 60 to 70%, which is pretty good. But for right now, again, I actually don't put that much weight on it, or not any weight at all on a potential head and shoulders here. We also just don't have a well-defined neckline, which certainly should, which is kind of like a centerfold piece of something like this. And again, the second that Bitcoin gets back above 8,400-ish area, about 8,400, then that whole idea goes completely out the window. And the way that our kind of oscillators are situated right now, we got the daily Stokes pointing back up, we got daily RSI looking constructive within this region, but you can see very clearly it's actually never even made it down into the bearish control zone. It's just been oscillating between the bullish control zone and the neutral zone, which does tell me that this is a bullish consolidation here. Not only that, but we do have some hidden bullish divergence now that I see on the daily RSI. We do have this point and this point getting a lower low, but price action making, price action did make a lower low, so fair enough. I do stand corrected on that. There is no hidden bullish divergence there. No, wicks do not count because, wicks aren't even calculated by the RSI. So holy fuck, when you see people using wicks for RSI, Jesus Christ, run the other direction. It's not even included in the fucking formula. It's only the closes. So again, that is typically why I focus more on closes than anything else. But Bitcoin closed a decent 2-day dildo right over here. We do see 2-day Stokes getting right back down to the edge of the bullish control zone, just like we said. Now, this is something that we've talked about all the way since, not all the way since middle of March, but probably somewhere over here in May, that this trend line had been, this trend line was forming, got broken, and once we broke it, we come back down into the lower end of the bullish control zone, which is right around here. And that's exactly what we're finding right now. And I do believe that you're going to see a little bit of, little bit of counter trend, counter momentum being gained to that, just by the narration that typically a lot of bots will be programmed just to buy off that area, just to buy that fact. Let's see what else we have. 3-day. 3 days interesting. We are still being held below the 10 simple. That's obviously the biggest point of interest right now for the 3-day, but the second that Bitcoin gets back above there and regains it, then I'd have to flip on over to bullish once again. And this dotted trend line, this dotted trend line I've had in here for fucking ages, man. We've been doing mental masturbation on this one for like over a year now, and you can see that it's actually held up pretty damn well. Once Bitcoin regained it right over here, it's actually been basing off of it 1, 2, 3, and having some nice bull wicks off that area. So again, it's pretty obvious support within this region, pretty obvious resistance, obviously right where the 10 symbol is. Let's see what our also to say here. We do see 3-day stocks getting below this critical zone. So when we get to the higher time frames, I would say that this is what makes me really back away from making a direct statement, just because I don't like how the 3-day and when we look at the weekly, both of those do not agree with the rest of the time frames. I'd actually be looking at them with bearish goggles. But the other time frames, I would say, if I was just looking at them, I would say we're likely to move up probably to 85, 8600. So again, keeping an eye on this. Yes, we have broken officially below this dotted trend, or the dotted critical zone, which has called some pretty nasty bearish momentums in the past. So looking at something like this, I do not like what I see. Not only that, but it is worth mentioning here, and this is the beauty of the jewel. It gives you so much insight into what's going on, and the jewel is actually coming down to a support. So while the 3-day Stokes are actually signaling, would actually be signaling some selling momentum, obviously, the 3-day jewel is actually coming down to support. So which one do I put more weight on? Well, fucking hell, you're right. I put more weight on the jewel. It's the one that I had, an actual hand in helping create. I didn't do like the actual coding. Obviously, I'm not, not a coder myself. But overall, I can verify this indicator myself. I can say that this is designed to act as a little bit of a support here. So I would be looking for a bounce here, but typically what happens is you'll get the jewel to bounce off this guy, and then it'll get stuck between the pink and the white, and then we have a legitimate chance to break the white, and that's when all hell can really break loose. So this would actually be suggesting that, more importantly than anything, is that Bitcoin's going to spend its time in this region for a little bit more before actually having resolution and letting the floodgates open. Shit, if it were to move to the upside here, though, however, like a legitimate breakout to the upside, then that'll actually take on a new meeting, and it'll actually just flip around to straight up bullish. But right now, it's kind of been decision phase, so to speak, but in a bouncy-ish area as well. And of course, on all the higher time frames, as far as exponentials go, we do have a bullish posture. We do have the golden cross between the green and the purple right over here. And we are above just about every major moving average, especially the 21, which to me, that's kind of like my guideline and my whole rules. I'm not like looking for shorts as long as we're above the 21 and have the golden cross, and vice versa for a death cross. And also, for full transparency, I do have the same positions open that I had yesterday. I'm basically flat on all fronts, flat on all fronts. It's a great prawn title, but basically just getting flat on all fronts. And again, just holding these positions because I don't really have too much time to be actively trading right now. So I don't want to be stuck in the lower time frames. Although there have been some damn good trades there in the past, in the past week actually. Just trading the range, quite simple. But I don't really have time to kind of focus on those. If something were to go wrong, what I really am waiting for is the next actual breakout, which it's starting to look a little bit more and more to the upside. So looking at 3-day, we have the same thing as the 2-day, golden cross right over here above the 21. Same thing with the daily. I have a golden cross and almost a full-on bullish posture of these moving averages. We are going to see that purple 200 exponential moving average cross the upside of the blue 3/7 exponential moving average. Probably on the next few ticks, probably by end of week, I'd imagine, that will be confirmed, and we'll have all lower periods trade above higher periods. That'll be interpreted as very fucking good, to use a technical term. So again, that would still tell me from a longer term time frame perspective, even if Bitcoin did go down to the 7,000 or 6,200 or 6,300, whatever it ends up being, actually would be a buyer. It's not until Bitcoin actually starts to break about 5,500 to 5,800-ish area where it starts to really back off and say, I think something else is going on here, and I'd switch around my overall general bias to neutral. Not even bearish at that point. I'd switch to bearish if we actually broke below about 4,300. looking for a test to the prior lows and likely new lows after that. But again, I'm really not leaning towards any of that shit happening. Again though, here's the thing, and here's why I really have a difficult time committing to the bullish side right now, is the 3-day and the weekly. The weekly also has Stokes crossing down, which this is the first time that we've seen since February of this year, which that basically called the low and the bullish momentum being gained thus far from our current 2019 lows to where we are right now. So to me, again, just another signal that does make it difficult to get bullish in here or maintain bullishness. Not only that, but we did get rejected on a first week that it'll below the top 200 band. So what is this possibly setting up for? Perhaps it's possibly setting up for a little bit more upside on the lower time frames, but then Bitcoin does get stifled and we end up playing out some more downside down to the lower 7,000s. We do see the red 10 symbol coming in right around 6,900, and that's going to be rising up to about 7,100 and maybe 7,200 on the next tick. But keep in mind that it's Litecoin that's been the one to watch, and Litecoin, holy shit, Litecoin's at 138. What the fuck? Oh my god. As you can see, I have not checked this out today. I was gonna say, well, Litecoin probably gonna lead what Bitcoin does. Wow, powerful Mrs. Litecoin, and look, she's pushing the upper 200 band once again. So I said my next major target was gonna be somewhere right around 145 to 150ish region. Looks like we're gonna get there a lot sooner rather than later. Daily is going to be trending outside the top 200 band as well. Looking good to me, man. Looking good to me. I think this one gets more continuation. We've been bullish on this one. This one was the obvious bullish one, right? This one was the one that I was most comfortable with talking about, although I don't trade it myself. And what I would have to say about Mrs. Litecoin is, holy fuck, you beautiful bitch. You beautiful bitch. You are so powerful. You are so strong. You are so independent. And my God, you might just save this market right now. Well, maybe not save this market, but lead this market. And I do think that this one has more to go. And I do think that Mrs. Litecoin, for all the shit that people give it, as far as charts go, one of the best, if not the best chart in cryptocurrencies right now. Definitely the best out of the top caps. And like I said, I do think that it has a little bit more to go. All time frames looking good to me. And I'm just curious what the monthly looks like here. Yeah, monthly just rallied off the 20 simple on the Tron bands. Funnily enough, we actually do have a similar setup on Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin came back down to that same medium band right around the low 7,000s. So again, low 7,000s, does it kind of count that we've already tested that area? Perhaps you could say that. You certainly could say that. So originally I was saying 71 to 7,200. We got down to about 7,400, on this monthly so far. Is that close enough? I mean, when you look at it from a higher time frame perspective, there is going to be a degree of error over a long period of time. And when we're looking at this in a year's time from now, it's really going to look like it's kind of already happened. You're likely going to say that that's already happened. So that would help round out the bullish case a little bit more. We do see on the monthly that Bitcoin, Bitcoin has a lot of room here. Has a lot of room. We just created our first higher high. I mean, we have to first set in even a local high before we start talking about a major downtrend. So are we going to just start a major downtrend from here? Probably not this month. Probably not this month. If anything, if this month were to come back down, it would just be a very obvious buy. Anywhere around low 6,000 to upper 5,000 would be a fucking obvious buy. It also means that we could come down around there and scare the shit out of everyone, but still would be pretty damn good. So, like I said, patience on the bigger levels. From a longer term time frame perspective, we'll have to monitor these sorts of things just because right now it's obviously not too apparent, or it's not too relevant. But over time, yes, it does matter. Anyways, going back to Mrs. Litecoin, holy shit, I completely didn't even look at this one during this morning. So yeah, making a new monthly high as well. Yep. Okay. So Litecoin bullish as fuck. Again, target 145 to 150 for the first major area of interest, I suppose you could say. We got up to about 142, so pretty close, pretty damn close. From a weekly perspective, people are going to be looking at 172 as well. So let's just mark these off now, just while we're here. So we got 172. Let's actually get the wick of that one, just in case. We do like to see a lot of that as well in this region, and looking like I already had a kind of a trend line within this region, but I want to get it right around this pivot. Yeah, so about 140. Jesus, there's too many. You know what we can do? We can get rid of everything here. Let's just redo this one together. All right, so we got this swing high right here. That's going to be an obvious point of interest, of course, but that's way higher than what we currently are looking at. We should be right here at about 146.5 to 150.5. And we have, let's just mark off this guy right here. Nicely done. There you go. And maybe even Go one deeper, baby. There you go. Yeah. So overall, we could actually even fit in one guy right here. This is an obvious breakout. Yeah, I mean, it does match up with this prior pivot. Oh my God, I can't speak. Sorry. Prior pivot. So yeah, overall, I do think that LITECOIN probably has a little bit more to go here. It is damn close, to be fair, though. I mean, 142, close enough to 146.5. So yeah, overall, I do like what I see, and I do think that this does imply good things for the general market, just because the general market does the general market typically goes together. So LITECOIN being bullish and breaking out here probably does add to the bullish case for Bitcoin. So again, if I did have to lean one way, would lean to the upside. Although the 3-day and the weekly do certainly bother me. They do certainly bother me, but. Again, I'd run with it until told not. Again, it's a lower blue box that would make me bearish. There are warning signals there. There are certainly things staring us in the face, but like I said, I'd still, I guess, cautiously go with it, I suppose. But at full transparency, like I said as well, I have no positions open, so I'm not looking to trade this right now. I'm basically just holding my account value, which I'm completely happy with right now. Let's go to Mr. Peterall. What's he doing? 248.25 looks very similar to Mr. Bitcoin, actually. Same sort of areas here. Blue box territory. The upside is 250.25 to 252.5, and to the downside, anything below 237 is a problem. Let's look at the daily Tron bands actually getting kind of tight here, so it is suggesting consolidation. Weekly does not. I mean, this again looks ugly as fuck. It makes it a lot more difficult, is what it really does. But overall, I guess I give the nod there. A difficult one. Cardano breaking out and doing what we said was likely. And I do believe that. Do we have resolution on this triangle? We do. Hey, not bad. Although it's not full on resolution just yet, I don't see volume confirmation on this. What could very easily happen if this one stalls here is that we just end up redrawing it like this. But I would say that this is an overall good thing. Does suggest to me that we will likely be reaching all of our targets. Like I said, 1150 was the first one, 1200, 1300, and then what's really happening on this one, and pretty much most alts, is that they're setting in lows right here. So I'm gonna guess that pretty much all alts look some variation of this, and we'll be moving up and putting in lows right now. BNB, what's BNB doing? BNB, very, very powerful move. So is this what could happen on Bitcoin? Perhaps this is, and BNB. Very similar setup to Bitcoin as well, so perhaps we do see something like this, and and that kind of destroys all of my my apprehensions with those higher time frames. But yeah, BNB acting very well here. Of course, it is going to be building some bearish divergence on the weekly, which are going to be problems at some point in time. But for right now, daily wants to move up. Daily wants to move up to 34.5, and probably beyond that, probably towards 35.25. Zcash, what's Zcash doing? Probably worth sway. Probably worth sway back towards 88, or yeah, about 88, 89ish region, probably beyond. I mean, it looks very similar to LITECOIN as well. Bcash, what's Bcash doing? Actually sluggish here. I would not be bullish on Bcash, but then again, do I think that Bcash is not going to move while the rest of the market does? Unlikely, right? Pretty damn unlikely, but certainly is on the laggard side of the equation. Let's see, what do we have here? Daily Stokes wanting to cross back to the upside, but struggling, man, definitely struggling. Tron Cash, what's Tron Cash doing? Same sort of thing, but probably does move back up towards 3.28ish region. And I think that most of these things are going to go the way of LITECOIN, really. Again, weekly really bothers me. If I was looking at a weekly of this on any other asset, I'd be bearish as fuck. Well, not bearish as fuck, but I mean, the thing is, Tron actually had a breakout. It actually had a pretty damn big breakout out of the 0.0295 region right over here. And as long as that gets respected, this is to be considered the low, so to speak. So again, looks ugly as fuck, but that's just how some of these things trade. Neo catching wind of the yellow 21. Again, I'm not a big fan of this, but it's just resilient in these areas. I think it's getting reaccumulated. I do think it's getting reaccumulated. EOS, what's EOS doing? EOS, what you doing? Are you gonna cross those Stokes to the upside? Not just yet. A little bit of a laggard here. Let's see what the weekly looks like. Yeah, weekly not so powerful as well. Needs to maintain this level. Needs to maintain $6. But if the market's anything to go off of, you probably will see it move back up to 685 region. What's Ripple Me Nipples doing? Ripple Me Nipples, a little bit on the laggard side of the equation as well. Let's see how the weekly looks. Yeah, weekly I don't like. I mean, weekly support's actually all the way down at 36.5 cent. Not a strong opinion here, but again, probably follows the rest of the market, probably puts in a low here, probably does work its way back up towards 42 cents. You know, again, I'm not doing anything crazy right now. I'm just basically just going with the market. Monero looks like it wants to pop back up, probably back towards the 90 plus region. Stellar Rumens, same thing as Ripple. Kind of putting in a bull flag here as long as it holds the 11.8 cent region, and I do think that we can make a measured move on this baby as well. Let's actually just do it really quickly. A very crude way of doing it, but it would be, I'm gonna guess that it points up to around 19 cents, almost there, 18 cents. But that kind of does match up with our lows of 2018 from here. So yes, I do think that over time, Stellar gets around there. Let's go check out traditional markets really quick. Traditional markets having a little bit of, hitting our blue box territory and getting rejected from there, but kind of to be expected. I do think that we probably pop back down and fill out the lower end of this region now, probably pop back down to fill the gap somewhere down around 286 region. So I would be looking for a little bit of downside today, but overall, would I be bearish on traditional markets right here? No, I wouldn't be bearish on traditional markets right here. It's only the monthly that, really kind of rubs me the wrong way. Not that you need to rub me the right way, but is that a song? I think it's a song. As far as monthly for SPYs go, I mean, this could easily change around my whole thought process on it, but we're still in the 12th day of the month of June, so it's very early to be calling this one way or the other. I would say that it is quite likely that based off the weekly, that this area does get bought if we pop back down to about 286 to 283 region. Sorry, 284 to 286. Actually would be looking for it to get bought back around there, and then the games will begin once again. So I really don't want to commit to one side, but if I did have to say something, it's starting to take on a little bit more of a different meaning, depending upon how these next couple weeks go. So again, I really don't want to call it before the monthly, and I don't feel too confident in this one. What I did feel confident on was us getting into resistance right here. That was the obvious call. Now, I think the next obvious call is that we come back down to about 286, maybe even 284, and then we'll kind of reassess from there. Take it one step at a time. So back on to Mr. Bitcoin. Bitcoin, are you going to follow through? Are you going to pull a Mrs. LITECOIN? Are you going to follow that beautiful bitch? She's got yoga pants on. She's walking around campus. We could wind up in all kinds of crazy places right now. But, well, just have to wait and see. Find out next time on Dragon Balls. So yeah, again, if to synthesize everything down, nothing matters more than these blue boxes. Do we, which blue box do we take out first? Do we take out the one to the upside above 8100, 8150? Then I'm looking for more upside toward about 8600 and probably beyond, probably pull some Mrs. LITECOIN. By the same token, if we do take out this 200 exponential or this blue box to the downside below about 7650 and rising, then yes, I would be looking for the downside to be initiated. Targets would be 7100 to 7200, but after looking at what Mrs. LITECOIN has been doing, she's been leading this market, looking at Bitcoin, being resilient in this area, it's starting to look a little bit more and more like reaccumulation. Yes, the 4-hour death cross is a warning signal, but it is not a complete signal in my opinion. It's not a signal that I'd be taking right here, right now. I want to see something very specific, a very specific setup from that perspective as we spoke about before, and we're not seeing it just yet, but it is a warning signal that it can easily happen probably over the next month or two. So keep those in mind. I'm going to be signing off now. I'll be back on later with some more live stream analysis. I will be getting my camera and my main microphone back today, but it won't be until after. It won't be until late night tonight, so it won't be until after the live stream. So unfortunately, just one more day of this nonsense, this disgusting blue Yeti microphone, just absolutely terrible, disgusting, get out of my face, and no camera, which is probably good for you because I've ultimate spaghetti hair going on right now. But again, massive thank you for tuning in. Want to wish you well on this nice little hump day Wednesday, and I'll see you soon. Take care.